Thank you guys for having me today. Fear is such an amazing thing. I love it. How else do you know whether you're improving if you don't do fearful things, if you don't take risks? I'm not talking about phobia or being absolutely terrified. It's a little too far. But a little bit of anxiety, a little nervousness, that feeling you get when you're standing up here talking in front of people and you just went to the bathroom, but you gotta pee right now. That's not a bad thing. It lets you know you're alive. People ride roller coasters, they go to haunted houses, they do things to elicit fear. They do things for their brain to produce more cortisol, and they get a feeling of pleasure. I'm sorry, not cortisol, dopamine, I apologize. More dopamine, so they get a feeling of pleasure, right? So people like to be afraid. Fear is a powerful motivator if you allow it to be. I never really understood why people paid for fear, because if you grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, similar to Sunnyside, you got a dopamine release as soon as you walked out the door every day. You didn't have to pay a dime, you didn't have to wait in line, you didn't have to be a certain height to ride the ride. You were gonna get it, right? So if you ask me to define what I do as a strength and conditioning coach, first off, I give you a sarcastic answer. And the reason why I give you a sarcastic answer is because it's gonna lead to more conversation. And I tell you, what I do as a strength and conditioning coach, I do everything. But if you were persistent and you asked me to give you a more direct answer and tell you really what I did, I'd say I put people in uncomfortable positions. I encourage them while they're in those positions, and I educate them and give them the tools to overcome that dilemma. At the end of the day, that's all it is. There's a lot of science involved, but for me it's a means to an end because I get a chance to work with and mentor young men and women. I've been very fortunate to be able to do those things for a long time. So how did I get to where I am right now? My mother and my dad worked a lot. Now, I never knew I was poor, but if you really look at the books and kind of lay it out, we didn't have very much money. We did all right, though. When I was 16, my mom sat me down on the edge of the bed. She said, I love you, doing a great job, I know you're working hard, but I got to level with you, I got to be straight up with you. I can't pay for you to go to college. That was one of the most powerful motivators that I'd ever experienced. She used to walk me around, introduce me to people when I was younger, ask me, hey, tell everybody what you want to be when you grow up. I want to be a doctor. Then we talked about college, we talked about the importance of college to getting me to that role, right? It was all there, and then you just hit me with that, bam. I'm not mad at her, that's not a bad thing, because what she did, she sparked some motivation in me that I'd never felt before, and it was a great thing. In all actuality, what did she just do? She gave me just the perfect dose of fear. I was afraid I wasn't going to succeed unless I worked my behind off to get to that next level, my dream, what I was trying to do. So I either got to get an academic or an athletic scholarship, or I'm going to have to work to get there. Those are my options. She gave me some other options, but I'm going to save that for another conversation. So I'm working my butt off. Eventually I made it to a Division I college, as you gave in the announcement. It's a great thing. Very fortunate to have it. So now I'm one of 2.6% to make it each year, to earn a full scholarship. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant now because everybody's getting paid now. But back then, that was a big deal, right? I've got some opportunities and I'm doing it for absolutely free. And when I got there, I was absolutely overwhelmed. We only had 2 defenses when I was in college. One of those 2 defenses, I say it's strong left or strong right, all right? And then I'm either going in the A gap or the C gap. Now, and I was a linebacker, by the way. Now, I'm sitting up there and I'm reading the guard. I'm listening to the calls that the quarterback's making. I'm moving the D-tackle in a little bit. I'm calling formations. I'm letting people know what they're going to do. I'm sliding over. My head is spinning. And to be honest with you, I don't know what's going on. I'm overwhelmed. All right? So, I'm going to pause and I'm going to take time to say this. I've been coaching for 23 years and I've met some of the best people on the face of this earth. Athletics has done so much for me. It's given me an opportunity to get a degree. I've met great leaders. I've traveled all over the world. I've had some great experiences, and it's also allowed me to provide for my family. Athletics is a great thing. So now, like I told you, when I was in high school, I'm on my grind. I'm working hard. I'm giving it everything I got. Okay? My mom used to get up and make me breakfast every day. She was my nutritionist before I knew nutrition was a way to an end, a mean to an end. She was my consistency before I knew what consistent was. I used to get up at 5 a.m. and go to school early. Coach used to leave the weight room open so I could work out before school started. Then I'd shower. During lunch, I'd go to the weight room and I'd do some extra abs or do some arm curls, whatever it took for me to get better. And then after practice, I had practice. And I did that year round. To be honest with you, my parents supported me in that because I think they felt like it kept me out of trouble. It really did. All my friends were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, and I had practice. So let me get back to where I am. So now I'm in college. Things aren't going the way they're supposed to go. And guess what? I got to get back on my grind. So I go to my coaches. I say, Coach, I need help. I got to learn what this is so I can compete. He gives me the remote and he says, well, watch this film. I could not get one of those coaches to sit down and go over and tutor me, teach me, develop me, or help me learn so I can compete for a position and attain my next goal. At that time, and that's every young black man's goal, is to go to the NFL. All right, so we're just gonna leave that at that. We won't talk about that anymore. And that's why I say what I said. Being a coach is a very important responsibility. To me, it's a calling. Now, I stuck it out. I got my degree. I never really played. I played just enough sparingly to get a letter jacket to actually letter. So I'm actually on the books as being a college football player, but let's be honest. And I've had some terrible experiences. And all I want to do now is turn those bad experiences into good experiences. I'm looking at this and I'm feeling like, hey, you know what? I think I can do this better than you. So, during that time, I always found success in the weight room. The weight room was where I could go, work hard. That's what I did. That's my forte. I grind, right? I give it everything I got. I'm the first one in the door. I'm the last one to leave. I'm not going on spring break. I'm staying here because I get to train. I'm going to the rec center, and I'm working out at the rec center before classes start. Once again, it's the same thing I did in high school. It worked for me. All right, so I'm back at it. That's when athletics taught me the most important lesson that I think I ever learned. Life ain't fair. You don't always get what you want just because you worked hard for it. All right? So now, I'm inspired to be a coach. I apply for graduate assistant jobs. I want to work in strength and conditioning because the weight room is where I found success when I was in college. I got a job. I'm working. I'm out there. This is a completely different experience. I've met some great people. I've met leaders. This guy's positive. We've got a sports psychologist on staff. He sits down and he talks to everybody. I mean, I'm on it. I feel like I'm at home. And I'm really excited because my life just did a 180. And I'm headed on the right track. I'm finding some success again. Mentally, the success I didn't find as an athlete really let me down. Right? And it took me a really long time to realize that I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to do athletics. All right? But what God wanted me to do is He wanted me to work with young men and women, mentor them, develop them, and help them attain their goals. And He put me through all those issues. He put me through all those struggles, all those failures, all those denials, so I would know what it felt like, so I would have some compassion. Why did, when I was in high school, the fear that was elicited work? Why did that work? Why did it help me earn a scholarship? Why did it motivate me? It motivated me because I had a support structure. It motivated me because I had someone in my corner. Why didn't it work? When I got to college, nobody cared. They were more concerned with the end result. And if I couldn't get the end result, it didn't matter. Or, and this happens a lot, especially with black men, they were projecting their insecurities onto me. So because I had a little bit of an intelligence, because I spoke up for myself, hey, I don't know about this guy. He's got too many questions. At the end of the day, it didn't work out. So I don't want to get off onto a tangent too much. But the opportunity that I had, the opportunity that God gave me to be able to work with young men and women is something that I'm thankful for every day. And yes, we address the physical aspect of it, but I believe by far the mental aspect of athletics, the mental aspect of training for young men and women is way more important. So, somebody give me a name of a professional athlete right now. Anybody. Doesn't matter. Carl Lewis. Good people. I used to work with him. Awesome. Football player. Emmett Smith. Great story. I'm going to get off on a tangent. I hope I don't go over on time. So I went to the Emmett Smith football camp in North Texas in 1996, and I earned that scholarship to go play football at the University of Wyoming. And I got MVP of that camp, and he invited me to Texas Stadium, and he introduced me to all the Cowboys. I mean, I was in absolute heaven. I've always been a Cowboys fan, grew up, learned to love the Cowboys. And he's one of the reasons why I became a Sigma today, because he was a Sigma. So that's awesome, great name, I love it. Basketball player, LeBron James, one of the greatest, right? Bottom line, when I was a kid, I was watching Emmett Smith. And your kids these days, they're watching these other athletes that you mentioned. Give me a female athlete. Give me a gymnast. Absolutely. Good deal. That's for my babies in gymnastics right now. Okay? Problem is, we're in an instantized society. We want it right now. We want instant gratification. Instant. We don't know about that grind that I told you about when I was in high school and when I was in college. That precedence, that means to an end hadn't set forth with them, all right? Not saying it's anybody's fault. All I'm saying is they need a little motivation, but more importantly, they need guidance. They need direction. Mentally, they need direction. Physically, they need direction. And they have to understand what it takes to be successful. So there's a life lesson here, not just in athletics, but in life. Number one, you gotta be consistent. Number two, you gotta be willing to make sacrifices. Right? You gotta be selfless. You gotta put others in front of you. Right? And you gotta be determined to learn everything about what you're trying to, or the goal you're trying to get to. Right? That's it in athletics. There is no other secret to success than that, right? So, when you do those things, and I like to use words like relentless, because that's really what you have to be these days, especially as a young man or woman. To get to that point, to get to your goal, you have to be relentless. I like to use words like that. But what I'm going to touch on is the mental aspect of it. The mental aspect of getting to that goal, being consistent, showing up every day, and putting in the work. And the mental aspect of athletics, like I said before, is very, very important. So you have to trust your preparation. You have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to be willing to prepare. Right? And then you have to choose to be very confident. How can you be confident if you didn't prepare? So your preparation allows you, when it's time to perform, to choose to be confident and go out and do what you're supposed to be able to do. I said a little bit earlier, being a coach to me is a privilege, it's a calling. Excuse me. And it's something that I don't take lightly. I keep it on, put it on a high pedestal, and I feel like I am very blessed to be able to do this on a daily basis. And I hope that my talk lets you know that it's important for you, number one, to be fit, to set an example for your children, to be in that battle with them, like my mom was with me. All right? All right? Support them in that aspect, but also it's important for you to put them in the hands of someone who is going to nurture and not just instill fear without that love and that tenderness and that care that balances you out and gets you to the level that you need to be. So that's all I have. I really appreciate you. I wish you guys the best. Thank you for your time.